So I saw a video from this channel, which was a reaction video from this channel. It is like a few years ago, so I am very late in making this video. But this guy only reacted to two of the points out of the 3 points presented by the other guy, because he couldn't understand the second point. And so I listened to the second point, and based on what I understood, this video is what you can say, a reply, or yeah, a reply to the second point. So if you want to watch the full video, like the debunk of the two other points, then you should check this guy's channel. If you wish to watch the original video, then you should go to this guy's channel. Both the videos are available in the description. So let's get going with the main video.
Who is the prisoner? If everyone is a soldier, a commander is required. If everyone is a prisoner, a judge is needed. It's a rule that you cannot be the judge and the prisoner at the same time. What does this mean? You know that a room cannot be dark and light at the same time, or a paper cannot be dry or wet at the same time. These are some examples confirming that one cannot hold two opposite attributes at the same time, because carrying two attributes opposite to each other is a contradiction. Being a judge and being a prisoner are two opposite states. If you are one of them, it's impossible to be the other. Now, think of a building which is being built with bricks. If you do not accept the architect to build it, it will be a contradiction to accept that bricks are building this on their own. Because in this case, the bricks will be both prisoners and judges of each other at the same time. Since all the bricks have a nature that is the same with each other and have no knowledge and free will, they cannot form a building by coming together and agreeing. Otherwise, it will be a contradiction. Who will give the order? Who will apply the order? A great confusion would show up. They wouldn't be able to establish a system that could stay protected from collapsing at once. So, they are all prisoners, and there must be an architect who has an absolute power on them. The judge is the architect, and the bricks are his prisoners. Likewise, when we examine the human body, we infer that atoms cannot make this system. 350,000 people are born every day. Who is the commander here, and who is the applier? If we assume the atoms to be doing this job, which ones among them give orders, and which ones follow the orders? How can atoms get along with each other and create so many people every day, while they have no knowledge, free will, and life? So, just as bricks cannot make the building, atoms cannot agree to carry out a quite complex job. That is to say, atoms are prisoners and their judge is God, Allah. Just as the same with the architect of the building, the architect of the human being continues to create and keep the human body standing all the time. Question number.
Okay, so there are a few assumptions made here. So let me get to them one by one. So the first assumption here is that this guy is assuming that there are only two possibilities. You can either be a judge or a prisoner. There can either be a light in the room or dark, or that the paper can either be wet or it can be dry. Now the thing is that we don't know if there are actually two possibilities. My question would be, how does this guy know that there are only two possibilities and two contradictory possibilities on top of that? Like, let's say the paper cannot be wet or dry at the same time. Well, the paper can be moist. A moist paper is neither dry nor wet. A room can be there with a dim lighting. A dim lighting is not bright, but it is not dark too. I would assume that by light this guy meant bright. And about judge and prisoner, like as I said, he's assuming that there are only two possibilities. Like, there are not only judges and prisoners, there are jailers, there are officers, there are guards, there are lawyers, there are advocates, like there are clients. So how would you know that there are only two characters and that two contrasting? There is another assumption made that atoms cannot perform a task, like let's say they cannot perform a digestive tract, or like they cannot do digestive functions or respiratory functions, because atoms are not intelligent enough and one atom cannot do it, so how can more? Well, let's see. I have this paper. If I just roll it and then I put a brick on it, do you think that the brick will get supported by this roll of paper? It won't. The brick will crush this roll of paper. But if I make 10 or 20 of such paper rolls, then they can support the brick. You can experiment it. They will support the brick. So one atom may not be able to do anything, but a group of them can do many things. A group of them can perform respiratory functions, can perform circulatory functions, and etc. etc. Another claim that he makes is that the bricks cannot build a building because they don't have a free will. Now, about free will, I will make a different video about it, because in my view there is no free will. And no, you don't need to imagine a higher power to refute free will. There are scientific reasons behind it, but that's a different topic. So his argument is that the bricks don't have a free will, so they can't build a building. Similarly, atoms don't have a free will, they don't think, so they cannot possibly create this body or this world. Well, by saying that, you are, like for you, a building is a very structured object. Like, you make it so according to you it is a very structured thing. How about a jungle or a desert, a plains, like let's say mountains, hills, a tree? Who made these things? Like, come on, like they got made by themselves, and there is seemingly no one to do it. I know the obvious answer would be, from the theist quarters, it would be God did it, but again, you don't have any proof to conclude that. You just conclude that because you don't have the answer, so you just say God did it. But with all like seriousness, there's seemingly no one who created these things. They just got created by their own. Who creates the dung? Okay, who creates shit? Like you would say that shit is not something structured. Well, it is for those insects, for those microbes who live in shit. For them it is very structured. A rotten apple. A rotten apple is not structured to you, but the insect who live inside the rotten apple, for that insect it is a perfect place, so it is a very perfect structure for him. Or maybe I should say them. What's him in an insect? For them. For it. So I think there is some kind of anthropic bias when you give that kind of an argument to justify God. And and then he says that just because atoms cannot think and they cannot form on their own, so God must have done it. Again, like the problem is these guys only have arguments. They don't have actual evidence to show. Like the difference between science and religion is science doesn't only have arguments, it also has evidences to show. Like it is not an argument that evolution is real. We show you evidence that, see, this is the evidence, you can check it and you can know that evolution is true, Big Bang is true, and all sorts of things are true. Sure, there are arguments in science too, but it is not solely about arguments. In religion, it is solely about arguments. You can say, in religion, you say that if this is this, if there are judges and prisoners, if there are army men and commando, like just come out of that if. Do you actually have anything worthwhile to show, to show on the table? You don't. And that's the point. You only have arguments, and based on that you just make more arguments supporting theism and God, and accuse atheists of ignoring the facts when the fact is there is, as per now, no facts supporting God. The best they do is God of the gaps fallacy, which this guy has done in his full video, which I am not going to show. So you can again check this guy's video, who has made a reaction video on this guy's full video except this point claim, which I did.